Hi, my name is Nishant and I'm here to scare you. No, not really. But hi, my name is Nishant and I have to begin by telling you that I'm not a human being. And by the time we end this talk, I'm going to convince you that nor are you. Yeah? We're going to begin by saying that I am a cyborg. Is that a word that you are familiar with? Cyborg? Cyborgs are cybernetic organisms, part human, part machine, and completely science fiction. Cyborgs are very popular in science fiction narratives, Hollywood, fantasy, and so on, but there are not many people in this room, for example, who would be able to get up and say, "Hi, I am a cyborg." This is largely because, and these are the instances of cyborgs that you are familiar with, like Arnold Schwarzenegger from Terminator, The Matrix, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, what have you. The reason why none of you can easily think of yourself as a cyborg is because we have used to make a separation between the human and the technological, right? Human beings create technologies, and once the technologies have been created, we use them for specific goals and ambitions. And as masters of the technological who are completely in control, then we revise, reiterate, and reinvent technologies so that they improve the quality of our life. But within digital cultures, we like to think of the human-technology relationship slightly differently. We want to say that the separation between the technological and the human is not really very clear. Yes, human beings do create technologies, but once the technologies have been created, they in turn affect the ways in which we think of ourselves. And from this perspective, I'm going to try and look at not particularly 3 mega trends, but 3 different ways of thinking about being human, being social, and being political. Yeah? So let's begin with a simple exercise. Let's build a list of all the technologies that you are sitting with right now. Like, take this moment to think about it. I'm sure if you make a mental checklist, the more obvious ones will make themselves visible immediately. You probably have a cell phone in your pocket or in your bag. There is a portable computing device, maybe your iPad or your laptop that's floating around somewhere in this room. You will realize that there is electricity and light and audio and video recording technologies which are making this conversation possible. And if you start thinking beyond the obvious, you will realize, for example, that the clothes that you are wearing are also technologies. There is nothing natural about clothes. They're actually produced by extraordinary innovation and production facilities. You will also perhaps start thinking about the products that you are wearing on your bodies. Or like me, if you are half blind and you need to wear glasses, then you realize that these are also technologies that we constantly wear our bodies with. If you want to go philosophical, right, because we're going to university, we should be slightly philosophical. You can also think that if you dig really deep, the very basic technologies that we are right now using are technologies of speech and language. That if we did not have technologies of reading and writing, archiving and distribution and knowledge dissemination, then this conversation would definitely not have been possible. But these are all still instances where you can say that this is the human and this is the technological, and that there is a difference between the two, right? You can say that the glass is a technology, whereas my eye is actually a human thing. But let's try and think of what I am calling invisible technologies. Yeah? Technologies that are so deep within us that we don't even realize that they are an essential part of us. Let me ask you this question. Without looking at your watch right now, can you tell me what time it is? It's possible, right? We don't spend all our life constantly looking at watches to figure out what time it is, but you generally have a sense of what time it is right now. Let's say you are disoriented, but you will still be able to tell me whether it's morning or afternoon or evening. If you partied really hard over the weekend and you still can't answer that, you will at least be able to tell me what day of the week it is. What week, what month, what year, what decade, what century. The accuracy of the answer is not important. What's important is that it is impossible for anybody in this room to think of themselves as people who live outside of time. Time is one of the most basic and fundamental ways in which we imagine the entire human species. We are born, we live, and we die. We have a past, a present, and a future. We write histories and we speculate about our fantasies. Everything that we have is subject to time. It is impossible to think of our bodies, ourselves, our relationships, our politics, our communities, and our nationalities outside of the lens of time. And sometimes we forget that time is actually a human technology. It's an invention. It's not really natural. There is no other species that actually requires to measure time. Time was invented as a technological apparatus because human beings felt the need to measure a linear progression of events of different times. Time is an example of how invisible technologies work. Time is an example of why each and every one person here is a cyborg. And so we must think of the digital not through only visible gadgets, but as conditions that shape our understanding of who we are. With the digital, we are able to go deeper and deeper inside the human body, recognizing genomes, the DNA, molecular biology, interactions within your body that you are not familiar with and you have no control over. We are constantly creating new ways of understanding what it means to be human and failing at it all the time. Did you know, for example, that the genome mapping project tells us that 97% of the human body is actually bacterial RNA? The thing that makes you different from amoeba in the water of glass is actually 3% DNA. In which case, what is human? What is going to be personal? What is going to be private? And what part of you is actually the bacterial and what's the human? And that's the thing that digital kind of brings in. The digital that digs into the human mind is even more confusing. Recent neuroscientist experiments at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology have now shown that if you produce electronic signals which can be transmitted into your brain via the internet, you can be made to experience tears and laughter, joy and pain. So how do you experience feelings? Who do you love? Or what? What gives you happiness and joy? These are all questions that are no longer just human, but these are cyborg questions. In the age of Facebook and Twitter, the definition of who is a friend and who you love has changed quite dramatically. The emergence of the World Wide Web and the internet are constantly connecting us with strangers, which is a fantastic thing, because we are learning about and learning to care about people who are very different from us. But more interestingly, we are forming now relationships with technologies which are new. If you are like me, then you understand this particular slide. Because let's face it, you probably go to sleep with the laptop on your side of the bed. You check your phone every 20 minutes to talk to somebody on the other part of the world. And you know that when you lose your phone, you feel like a part of your limb is missing, right? And we are also learning to speak to technologies and care about them. We are constantly interacting with technology, gadgets, and internet platforms. And we're also learning how to document our lives so that these technologies actually understand them. Is there anybody in this room who has never pulled out a phone and taken a selfie of themselves like that? Yeah? Really, there's one person there. Somebody teach him how to do it. Haven't we learned how to document our parties and gatherings and trips and everyday life in strange ways so that people on Facebook can consume them? We have mastered now the art of writing in 140 characters so that our entire life philosophy fits into a tweet. In short, we're not just talking through technologies, we are also talking to technologies. But let's think of the digital friend again. Just try and think about who you talk to most when you are online. Take 3 seconds. Think of the 5 people that you talk to most when you are online, let's say on Facebook. Yeah? And the minute you come up with that list, I am going to tell you that your answer is wrong. Because the thing that you talk to the most when you are on Facebook is Facebook. Look at how much it talks to you constantly. How are you feeling today? Your friend has updated a status message. Somebody has replied to your comment. Somebody has liked your comment. Somebody has liked the fact that you liked your comment. Somebody has liked that you like a page. Somebody has invited you to a game. Somebody has invited you to join a cause. The chatter is constant and it is endless. Whether anybody listens to you or not, you can be sure that when you make that one status update, Facebook is always listening. Yeah? That there is somewhere out there, deep in some server, an artificial intelligence life form, an algorithm that is designed to listen only to you, to monitor everything that you do, to gather your data, and to create profiles of you that you never had idea of. This leads to new ideas of friendship. If friends are objects that we talk to the most, then is Facebook your new best friend? And is Facebook the only collective common best friend? In that case, how do we think about the people and our relationships with them? Who do we trust? Can you make friends with people who are not on Facebook? How do we know who is who? Are all our friends cyborgs, part technology and part human beings? Where does the human end and where does the technological begin? This new shift in conceptualizing being human and being social also goes hand in hand with our ideas of being political. Through the Arab Spring, through the Occupy movements, through what's happening in Spain and Italy and Brazil and India, in China and South Africa and in Egypt and Syria, we already have seen how the emergence of the digital technologies have dramatically changed the ways in which we are thinking about governments and how we want to be ruled by them. We are no longer ready to accept indignities or violations of our rights in silence. We are no longer even depending upon traditional structures like civil society organizations or citizen action groups or even political parties to shape our future. Across the world, every day, there are people who are your age. Sometimes they are younger than you. Remember, this year's contender for the Nobel Peace Prize is a 16-year-old girl from Pakistan, right? There are people who are realizing that the digital technologies are offering them new ways of expressing themselves. These are the tools that allow them to act and intervene when they see problems in their immediate environments. This army of digital natives has now overthrown governments, created new structures of equality, waged wars against censorship and exploitation, and have engaged in guerrilla warfare through global social movements like WikiLeaks and Anonymous, where they use digital tactics to bring down material governments. And they do this politics in a different way. They are not just walking down the street anymore. They do it through fun, creativity, games, and irreverence. In India, for instance, a few years ago, there were some right-wing political parties that went into a pub and started beating up young women who were drinking beer and hanging out with their friends because they thought that this goes against Indian culture. As a response to these series of attacks on women, there was a Facebook campaign called the Pink Underwear Campaign. Yeah? This campaign invited hundreds upon thousands of people to buy pink underwear and send it to the houses of the leaders of the political party as a sign of protest. And they did. There were mountains of pink underwear being bought across the nation and being sent to the people who were supporting these kinds of violent activities, forcing them to apologize and withdraw support from fundamentalists who were waging this particular war. Right? And on this note, I will end because surely there is nothing more joyful than pink underwear. Oh, I hope that it has helped you to think of the human and the digital in different ways. As we live through the digital turn, we are recognizing that these technologies are a part of us. We are all cyborgs. We live in cyborg societies. We love our technologies and we love each other through the technologies that surround us. And we are in the process of shaping our families, communities, and nations through these new technologies. Understanding the digital as an integral part of who we are is the first step towards understanding and predicting the future worlds that we are going to dream, build, and inherit. So welcome once again to Leuphana, and I hope that in your time here, you will help us identify, research, understand, and map the different technological and human relationships and how they are changing the world around us. And I hope that from today onwards, you will always think of yourself as part human, part technological, part mortal, part superhero, part hardware, part software, part wetware, and completely cyborgs. Thank you.
Thank you very much.